Hi, my name is Mark Lynn, and I'm the Roommate Coach. This is going to be episode number 29 of the Roommate Coach. It's going to be a combination of an update on the local home sharing program, as well as a portion of a really interesting group interview I had recently with several people from home share agencies in Northern California. You're listening to KZZH 96.7 FM in Eureka, California. KZZH has been brought to the air here in Humboldt County by Access Humboldt. You could reach them at accesshumboldt.net. As I said, I'm Mark Lynn. I'm the Roommate Coach. You could leave me feedback at theroommatecoach.com, or you can also leave a voicemail anytime at area 707-362-8000. That's 707-362-8000. The bumper music here on the Roommate Coach is called Rollin' at 5, and it's by Kevin MacLeod. And I also like to mention that the motto here is World Peace, one roommate at a time. Home sharing has officially come to Humboldt County. The program called The Nest has been launched by the local Area 1 Agency on Aging. This can be really good news for a couple of situations regarding housing. For one, if you're a homeowner and you've got some extra room in your house and you'd like a little extra income or maybe some companionship or maybe even some help around the house, this is the kind of thing that is exactly what works well in a home sharing situation. The other side of the equation, if you're someone looking for an affordable place to live, which, as we all know, is getting harder and harder almost everywhere, certainly is the case here in Humboldt County, you might be interested in a home sharing situation in which you would share a home with a homeowner in return for either rent, and the rents are usually fairly reasonable, especially since they tend to be in fairly nice areas much of the time. And in some cases, you can even get reduced rent if you're willing to do some work around the house or a little bit of help out in return for, as I say, even reduced rent. This might be especially attractive to students because here in Humboldt, as in many other areas, the availability of housing for students has become less and less. And obviously, if you're trying to focus on your education, being worried about where you're going to live is not going to help. So home sharing might be really beneficial for this kind of a situation as well. If you're interested in getting more information about home sharing here in Eureka, here in Humboldt County, you can contact Dan Birmingham. He can be reached at the Area 1 Agency on Aging. The number is 707-442-3763. That's 707-442-3763. Or if you'd like to contact Dan by email, his email address is seniorinfo@a1aa.org. seniorinfo@a1aa.org. Just as a real quick review, I know I've been talking about this for at least the last couple of episodes now, but the benefits of home sharing are pretty obvious. For the homeowner, they represent some additional income and possibly some help around the house. And depending on one's age and everything, it can help. In many cases, it can help with what we're calling aging in place, the older folks that want to stay in their homes. And for the home seeker, for the person sharing the home, the benefits are also pretty obvious in that, as I said, it's generally a nice place to live, and with reduced rent, or with usually lower than the rents you'd be paying on the open market, and sometimes even a better deal than that if you're willing to do a little work. But there's even an additional benefit that maybe isn't immediately obvious, but I've seen some studies recently. In fact, I'll post a link in the show notes when I get this on the show on the website. I saw an article just the other day, fascinating. I think it was a TED talk, come to think of it, in which the woman giving the speech presented studies proving that one's longevity is helped considerably by one's social life, social network. In other words, if you have people in your life and good connections with others, you're likely to live longer. So this seems to me like another benefit for a good, happy home sharing situation. And of course, the happy part is where I come in as the roommate coach. My role in all this is to offer whatever I can to those who want to do whatever they can to make the home share work out. Somebody said we pay for every choice we make, and the benefits to home sharing really sound, just as I keep saying, almost like a no-brainer. But like everything in life, there is a trade-off, and the trade-off is you need to live with someone else. And maybe you've been living alone for a long time and you haven't lived with anyone for a while, so you're not sure about that. Or maybe if you're a young person looking to get into a home share with a senior citizen, you might wonder if all your roommates have been about the same age, you might wonder how well that's going to work. And we all know there are other things that come up when people live together. Sometimes it works great, sometimes there are issues. So that's where I hope to help out with some of my ideas and concepts about how we can get along better. So with all that in mind, going back to Dan Birmingham and the local agency that is getting this program out there, the Area 1 Agency on Aging, I gave the contact information a few minutes ago, I'll add it again at the end of the show, is going to host a regular meeting, I think every month, for those just with questions and answers about home sharing. And there will also be another meeting in which I will be the host, and I'm going to talk about different aspects of this potentially scary business of living with another person and making it go really well. I am fairly sure that Dan is going to put details about these meetings on the Area 1 Agency on Aging website. That's a1aa.org. And I will also post it on theroommatecoach.com. I'll get to that as soon as I can. That's the update on the new home sharing program here in Humboldt County, which I think is really exciting news. And the other part, or for the remainder of this episode, I'm going to play a portion of a really, to me, fascinating interview I had just a little over a week ago with a number of other home share agencies here in Northern California. Now, those of us who live here in Humboldt know that there is a housing shortage up here, and it's a big problem for more and more people. Although, if you think it's bad here, the San Francisco Bay Area, and I don't think this comes as any big surprise to anybody, it's absolutely a madhouse down there. And the reason I say that is, in addition to the local agency, to Dan Birmingham and Maggie Kraft, both of whom are putting together the local home share program here in Humboldt, I also spoke to some people from an agency in Santa Cruz and a couple of people from two different agencies in the San Francisco Bay Area. And as I said, I found it fascinating, the things they're doing down there in order to try to at least make a dent in the housing crunch. It's just getting worse and worse. So I will play that, or the first portion of that. It was actually a fairly lengthy interview, so I suspect I'll be able to play segments of it for maybe 2 or 3 episodes here. But I'll play the first part shortly after the break, or right after the break, I should say. But as far as the break goes, that will begin right now, in which I remind people that they are listening to KZZH 96.7 FM here in Eureka, California. Brought to the air by Access Humboldt. Access Humboldt can be reached at accesshumboldt.net. My name is Mark Lynn. I'm the roommate coach. You could leave me feedback if you like at theroommatecoach.com. There is a contact link on the homepage. You could also leave a voicemail anytime at 707-362-8000. 707-362-8000. This is episode 29 of The Roommate Coach, in which I'm bringing people up to date on the new homeshare program here in Humboldt County. And as promised, right after the break, I will play the initial portion anyway of a really, to me, a very interesting group interview I had on the phone. I used a conference call interview with a number of other agencies here in Northern California. If you are interested in home sharing and you want to pursue it locally, assuming you live here in Humboldt County, as I've said, you'll be able to contact Dan Birmingham. I'll leave the detailed information at the end of the show here and discuss home sharing locally. Now, if you're curious about how home sharing is going on in other parts of the world, specifically Northern California, the Bay Area, probably one of the most crowded and expensive housing areas anywhere, you've come to the right place, because the rest of today's episode will consist of at least a portion of an interview I had recently, just a couple weeks ago, with several people involved with home sharing in pretty much in the Bay Area. And I'll list the participants, and then I'll go ahead and start the interview itself. The interview consists of 4 home share agencies. Now that includes the local one, the Area 1 Agency on Aging. Dan Birmingham and Maggie Kraft, both with the Area 1 Agency on Aging locally, are on the call. I also spoke with Laura Fanucchi, who is the Associate Executive Director of HIP Housing, which is in San Mateo. And they're responsible for a variety of housing programs in that somewhat populous part of the state. Another participant on the call was Tracy Powell, who is with the Episcopal Senior Communities. And as I understand it, they are responsible for a number of housing programs in 7 San Francisco Bay Area counties. Among them are Marin County and Contra Costa. I don't remember the others, but I'm sure, I imagine, I don't know if she mentioned them in detail on the call. I guess that doesn't matter. So that's 3 agencies. The 4th agency represented in this great interview was close to the Bay Area. I guess it's still considered the Bay Area. Santa Cruz County Senior Network Services is the agency. I spoke with Stephen Matze, who is a resource counselor, housing counselor for the Senior Network Services in Santa Cruz County, and also Elizabeth Hutton from the same agency. So those are the individuals and the agencies represented on what I consider a really interesting interview, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll start it right here. So again, I don't know who knows whom, but this is Stephen, is Matze? Matze? How do you say it? Matze? That's pretty close.
That's correct. And I'll just do a brief quickie here. I'm a resource counselor, housing counselor, case manager at Senior Network Services down here in Santa Cruz County. Been here for almost 2 years, coming up next month. Mm-hmm. And by far, housing is one of the great challenges that our area is experiencing, which is, of course, indicative of most of California, and seems to be spiderwebbing out across the nation.
Yeah.
And we've been operating a shared housing program here for about 30 years.
Wow.
Since '84. So we've had some great successes. It's a changed climate and environment now with shared housing for probably many reasons. but we continue to operate it and do the best we can in trying to make sure we match appropriately and get people some sustainable and affordable housing.
Huh. Well, that sounds really terrific. I'd like to, after we finish the introductions, I'd like to hear more about what you mean by the changed climate. I imagine the others here probably know what you mean. But who'd like to be next? We might as well go ahead and do the introductions. Laura, Maggie?
Yeah, I'm Laura Fanucchi. I'm the Associate Executive Director of HIP Housing, which is a nonprofit organization based in San Mateo County. We have 2 housing programs, and we also are a property owner and manager of affordable housing in our county. One of the housing programs, obviously, we have is our homesharing program, which we've been operating since 1979. And we also currently have a small part-time program in a neighboring county in Alameda covering the city of Fremont with funding support from the city of Fremont. So we've been operating that program for about 2.5 years.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds super. Thank you, Laura. Let's see who else. Maggie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. And Dan came in, so he'll introduce himself as well.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm Maggie Kraft. I'm the Executive Director of the Area Agency on Aging up here and serving Humboldt and Del Norte counties. And we run a lot of programs directly, but we also subcontract services out. And like everywhere else, housing's an issue, and it's been an issue. And there's already, there's so many people here talking about it in different forums. But we were wanting to start looking specifically at helping seniors looking for housing, but also helping those seniors who have housing that's being underutilized, obviously, to help make some matches and also look at how we can bring the student population from the universities here into the mix. So we've been, planning and working and scheming for a while, and things are moving forward. And I'll let Dan introduce himself.
Okay, thanks, Maggie.
Hi, I'm Dan Birmingham. I'm the Information and Assistance Manager here at Area 1 Agency on Aging, and I've been working on this program for home sharing, and as Maggie said, we're starting to get it rolling now, and we've decided from research we did and community discussions to take a different approach than what we've seen from other programs, and we're doing some more of what I'm calling like a hybrid model where the agency is providing the face-to-face service in terms of providing information and resources and things like that to start home sharing. But in terms of the service of background screening, matching the home seeker with the home provider, that's all being done. We're directing the community to do that through a website to do that. And so we're empowering the community with tools to do the home sharing. And so that's what I mean by a hybrid model instead of doing all the full services ourselves.
Okay. Let's see. And thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And I think we have one more. Tracy, you are the one.
Sure.
Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. My name is Tracy Powell. I'm the Vice President of our Home and Community-Based Services Division. I'm part of an organization, Episcopal Senior Communities. It's a nonprofit that's been around for over 50 years. Non-denominational, and it's really housing and services for seniors. And so we have HUD housing, we have market rate housing, and then I work with a team that serves seniors in 7 Bay Area counties. And partly by knowing about Laura and HIP housing and partly by going to a conference several years ago, we started a pilot shared housing program in Marin. We also run one now in San Francisco and Contra Costa County, and very much modeled after the HIP housing model.
Wow. You mentioned Marin County with the I just can't even hardly imagine that's one of the most expensive counties in the country, isn't it? In terms of...
Well, it's funny. It is an expensive county, but I'd say housing prices, it's weird, and it may get to what the gentleman from Santa Cruz is talking about, Steve. It's San Francisco's gone insane. Alameda County, just everywhere in this Bay Area has really gone crazy in terms of being squeezed out for housing.
Yeah.
So, You would think Marin, and actually some of the rents there that are being asked by the homeowners are actually less than in the other areas.
Wow. Well, that's probably one of the big advantages, especially to the home seeker, is being able to live in a nice area without such an exorbitant outlay. Well, thank you, Tracy.
Sure.
I guess I should do a quick intro of myself, although I think I've spoken to all of you.
If I can interject real quickly, Mark. My
Sure.
apologies for interrupting, but I don't want to forget Elizabeth, who's sitting here with me.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. My apologies too. I'm looking at my list here, and I don't have two separate entries there. I didn't mean to diss you, Elizabeth.
Not a problem. So I go by Liz. My last name is Hutton, and like Stephen, I kind of wear these three hats: resource counseling, case management, and housing counseling. That's all. He talked very well about our program, so go ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Liz. Well, yeah. Well, I'm recording this for. My name is Mark Lynn. I've been calling myself the roommate coach for some time now. That's also the name of my radio show here in Humboldt County. That'll be. It's not live, but it'll be. As soon as I get it edited and everything, it'll be on local station KZZH up here in Humboldt, and I'll also make it available on YouTube and everything if anyone else wants it. But I've been interested in roommate issues for some time now, and I've recently gotten very interested in home sharing. So my involvement in all this has to do with the intersection between home sharing and how well the people involved get along or not, and the whole impact that aspect of it has on the whole thing working or not. One of the curiosities I have along those lines is, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me that the home providers, the people willing to share their homes, are probably the key to the whole ball game. I know Laura has mentioned that there's a pretty high ratio of providers to seekers. I don't know if that's true everywhere. And I'm just wondering if, let's see, I made myself some notes. Okay, here's one of my first curiosities about that. Do you get very many inquiries from potential home providers, people that are interested in thinking about home sharing, but for some reason they don't follow through? They look into it, and you know what I'm saying? Is there anything to that, or does everyone just immediately go for it the first time they hear from it? Or would anyone like to speak to that?
I could interject a quick snippet here based on our experience in Santa Cruz County. And we, a lot of the providers or potential providers that we get are oftentimes referrals from a family member, or even like a home health agency that may have been out because they had some issues that hospitalized them and then came home to home health. And then we'll get sporadic ones that, maybe searched online for this potential option and then connect with us. And I can honestly say that no, not all of them follow through, but it's not necessarily the fact that they're not following through, but it's more rather the fact that their environment and their needs are just not as appropriate for our program as we would like.
Oh, okay.
Since both the seeker and provider need to be aging in place, what I think we have found here for those that, are not quite appropriate is that their needs are much greater, and we're not here to provide a live-in home care provider, which is, I think, a lot of what family members are hoping, and even sometimes those potential providers.
Yeah, I know, Dan. You've been making that quite clear about what home share is not. It's not a home health service. So now, Stephen, did I understand you correctly? Did you say that the requirement in your area is that both parties have to be aging in place? They both have to be seniors?
So only one of the two needs to be over the age of 60, since our target demographic and funding stream requires us to work with folks 60 and over.
Okay.
But only one of them needs to be. What we find in our area is that in most cases, both are over the age of 60. So it's seniors looking to be placed with another senior.
Okay.
We have one active home share right now where that's not the case. The provider is older, in her 80s, and the seeker is in their late 50s. So, and that seems to be working really well. But we really, our funding source is so small. I mean, we really get very little money to operate this program from local funding sources, that we have nothing built into budget to outreach or market this program to probably bring in more potential providers. We are certainly not at a loss for seekers. The homeless population in our county is rising on a daily because of the raising of rents out of people's ability to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
So, or they're being given a 60-day notice that the rent's going to go up to $200 or $300 more a month. And when you're on a fixed income, you just don't have that ability. So, seekers we have no problem finding, but home providers we are often challenged.
Okay. Well, now Dan and Maggie, his comment about the majority of them being seniors or mostly close to the same age, that makes me think about one of the hopeful targets of the local program. Again, here in Humboldt County, Dan and Maggie are with the local agency that's getting a program started. And again, Dan and Maggie, feel free to jump in and correct me if I misspeak. I'm not pretending to be the final authority here, but my understanding is one of the targets is the students. HSU up here has been lovingly referred to in a couple articles as Homeless State University because of a fairly high percentage of homeless students, which, just to give away my age, I'm a senior citizen myself, and I remember being a student back in Illinois, and we all scraped to get by, but I do not remember anyone being homeless. I mean, to me, this is just awful, but I'm rambling here a little bit, so bear with me, but I guess my point is that one of the hopes for the program here locally is that the matches between seniors and, at least in some cases, students will work out. Am I right about that, Dan and Maggie?
Yeah, that's true, because there is a need, but there is also the opportunity to create some good friendships and some good situations where people can get to know somebody of a different age group, and the experiences that they have in other parts of the world show that this is also, it's a great way to go as well. So we don't want to limit it. Our priority is seniors, but we would love to have so many homes that we could do everything, and we know that is the linchpin.
This is Tracy. I was just going to add in that in our 3 programs, initially in Marin, we limited it to a senior-to-senior match because our organization's mission is to serve seniors. And then we quickly realized that if it's really about choice for the homeowner, some people prefer a young person, some people would prefer someone their own peer. But so all of our programs are now open. In San Francisco, we stipulate that you must live, work, or go to school in San Francisco, and that was one of the ideals of the grant in San Francisco, is that, as you say, up in Humboldt, there's a lot of homelessness. There was just something on our local NPR, public radio this morning about the homelessness of students attending school in San Francisco, in Berkeley. So we definitely have people. So our program is really 18 years of age and older.
Okay, that's the end of the first part of my recent group interview with several homeshare agency people, Northern California Homeshare Agency. And this is also the end of this episode, which is episode 29 of The Roommate Coach. My name is Mark Lynn. I'm the Roommate Coach, and you're listening to KZZH 96.7 FM in Eureka, California. KZZH has been brought to the air here in Humboldt County by Access Humboldt. You can reach them at accesshumboldt.net. And you could leave feedback for me, for the Roommate Coach, at theroommatecoach.com using the contact link on the homepage. Or you could leave a voicemail anytime at area 707-362-8000, 707-362-8000. The bumper music here on The Roommate Coach is called Rollin' at 5, and that's by Kevin MacLeod. And I always like to mention my motto here on The Roommate Coach, which is world peace, one roommate at a time. Recently, I've been talking a lot about home sharing, and this particular episode, I in addition to my group interview, I mentioned that Humboldt County is launching its own home sharing program. So the one roommate at a time world peace motto, I'm hoping, will pertain to anyone getting involved with home sharing here in Humboldt County. It's a great idea, and as long as everyone gets along reasonably well, it'll have really significant benefits for everybody. Now, if you'd like more information on the local home sharing program, if you're a homeowner and you have some extra room and you'd like to consider getting some extra income and maybe a little help and a little companionship, or if you're a home seeker looking for a place to live and you'd like to consider home sharing, might turn out to be a really good deal, you can contact Dan Birmingham. You can reach him here in Eureka at the Area 1 Agency on Aging, and that number is 707-442-3763, 707-442-3763. Or you can send him an email at seniorinfo@a1aa.org. So that's it for this episode, and if you're interested in finding out or hearing more about how home sharing is being done in other parts of the state in Northern California, you can tune in to the next episode. I'll continue my group interview in that one. And in the meantime, I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm certainly enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And I really appreciate your listening, and I look forward to talking to you again real soon. So long for now.